Fetal skull. The fetal skull is an oval-shaped structure which encases and protects the brain. The fetal skull has three major parts: the vault, face, and base. Vault is the large, dome-shaped part above an imaginary line drawn between the orbital ridges and the nape of the neck. Face is composed of 14 small bones that are firmly united and non-compressible. The base comprises bones that are firmly united to protect the vital centers in the brainstem. The bones of the vault are 2 frontal bones, 2 parietal bones, 1 occipital bone, and 2 temporal bones. The frontal bones are shown in the picture in yellow color, which forms the forehead or the sinciput. The ossification center of each bone is the frontal eminence. The frontal bones fuse together into a single bone by the age of 8 years. The parietal bones are shown in the picture in green color. They lie on either side of the skull and occupy most of the skull. The ossification center of each of these bones is called parietal eminence. Temporal bones can be seen on both the sides of the head. It forms a part of the vault. Occipital bone forms the back of the skull. A part of it contributes to the base of the skull as it contains the foramen magnum, which protects the spinal cord as it leaves the skull. The ossification center is called the occipital protuberance. Sutures are spaces between the bones of the skull. 2 or more sutures meet at a fontanel. Sutures and fontanel allow for molding of the fetal head during labor. The sutures of the skull are the frontal suture located between the 2 frontal bones, the coronal suture located between the frontal and parietal bones, lambdoidal suture located between the 2 parietal bones and the occipital bone, the sagittal suture located between the parietal bones. A fontanel is a space created by joining of 2 or more sutures. The 2 main fontanels of obstetric significance are anterior fontanel and posterior fontanel. The anterior fontanel is also called bregma. It is large, diamond shaped. Situated at the junction of sagittal, coronal and frontal sutures, it closes at 18 months from birth. The posterior fontanel is also called lambda. It is small, triangular shaped. It is situated at the junction of lambdoid and sagittal sutures. It is closed at 6 to 12 weeks of birth. The skull is divided into 4 regions: the occiput region, vertex, sinciput and face. Occiput lies between the foramen magnum and the posterior fontanel. The parts below the occipital protuberance is known as suboccipital region. Vertex is bounded by the parietal eminence, posterior fontanel and anterior fontanel. Sinciput extends from the anterior fontanel to the orbital ridges. Face extends from the upper ridge of the eye to the chin, which is called as mentum. The landmarks of the fetal skull are seen in the picture: mentum, glabella, sinciput, anterior fontanel or bregma, vertex, posterior fontanel or lambda, occipital protuberance and suboccipital region. These landmarks are the points with which we measure the diameters of fetal skull. There are transverse diameters and anterior-posterior diameters of the fetal skull. The 2 main transverse diameters are biparietal diameter and bitemporal diameter. Biparietal diameter is between the 2 parietal eminences and measures 9.5 cm. The bitemporal diameter is between the 2 furthest points of the coronal suture at the temples and it measures 8.5 cm. There are 6 main anterior-posterior diameter or longitudinal diameters: subocciputobregmatic diameter, subocciputofrontal diameter, occiputofrontal diameter, submendobregmatic diameter, submendovertical diameter and mendovertical diameter. Subocciputobregmatic diameter is between the occipital protuberance to the center of the anterior fontanel and it measures 9.5 cm. The subocciputofrontal diameter is between the occipital protuberance to the center of the frontal suture and it measures 10 cm. Occiputofrontal diameter is measured from the occipital protuberance to the root of the nose and it measures 11.5 cm. The mentovertical diameter is between the chin and the highest point on the vertex, which measures 13.5 cm. The submentovertical diameter is between the point where the chin joins the neck to the highest point on the vertex, and it measures 11.5 cm. The submentobrachmatic diameter is between the point where the chin joins the neck and to the center of the brachma or the anterior fontanel, which measures 9.5 cm. These are the diameters of the fetal skull. So, in this video, we learned the bones, sutures, fontanels and diameters of fetal skull. Thank you.